In today's video, it's my 2025 year in review. I'll talk about the 5 different cruises I took this year, including 2 in the Mexican Riviera, 1 in the Caribbean, 1 in Alaska, and 1 along the Gulf Coast of Florida. I'll talk about what I accomplished in my yard and garden this year. I'll tell you about the spinal surgery I had and how my recovery is going. And I'll give you an update on the slow death of my YouTube channel. The glory days were back in 2016 through 2020, but the channel's not dead yet. Every year, at the end of the year, I like to do a video looking back at what I was up to during that year. And 2025 was a very good year for me, starting in January with a fantastic cruise on one of my favorite cruise ships, Carnival Panorama. I love Carnival Panorama so much. This was my 3rd cruise on it. Plus, I've done cruises on each of her nearly identical sister ships, too. This is a ship I highly recommend if you like a quiet, relaxing cruise hanging out around an uncrowded swimming pool that also has 2 hot tubs, a sun deck, and a private bar. This area of Carnival Panorama is known as the Havana area, and most of the ship's passengers do not have access to it. Only the passengers who have paid a little extra for a cabin in this area have access to the amenities in the Havana area, and it's completely worth it. It's one of my favorite ways to cruise. I also love the Guy Fieri food on Carnival Panorama. I am not a foodie. Gourmet food is not for me. Give me a burger from Guy's Burger Joint for lunch any day, and I'm a happy guy. Or a plate of the trash can nachos from Guy's Pig and Anchor restaurant. That is my kind of food. So that's why I've done 5 cruises in Carnival's nearly identical Vista-class ships in the very quiet, uncrowded, and relaxing Havana area at the very back of the ship. I like to cruise over the winter when the weather at our house in Washington is at its worst. So in February, we did another cruise, and this one actually turned out to be my favorite of the entire year. This was on Sun Princess, which at the time was the newest ship in the Princess fleet, and it quickly became my favorite cruise ship of all time. I've been on 72 cruises, and this ship right here, Sun Princess, this, I think, is the best of them all. That's saying a lot. This right here is the reason why. It's very similar to what I was telling you about the Havana area on Carnival Panorama. We're looking at a quiet, uncrowded relaxation area with its own pool, hot tubs, and a bar. Most of the ship's passengers do not have access. That's why it's so uncrowded. Only the passengers who have booked what's known as a sanctuary stateroom are welcome in this area. Now, this is a little more expensive than what I showed you on Carnival, but I think it's worth it. First off, the full drink package is included, so you can relax out here with cocktails all day long without incurring any additional charges. The other thing is that it's full service. On Carnival, if you want a drink, you have to go up to the bar to order it and get it. But on Princess, the sanctuary pampers you. There is a very large crew of roving waiters that will take your drink orders and then come back and deliver them right to wherever you are. And by the way, that also applies to when you're on the balcony of your cabin or just about anywhere you happen to be on the ship. Order drinks using the Princess app on your phone, and it automatically knows exactly where you are on the ship, and drinks will be delivered to you right there a few minutes later. In my testing, it was typically about 10 minutes after putting the order in on the app. Now, Princess does not have the Guy Fieri food that I love so much on Carnival, but they do have some pretty great casual food options that I enjoyed almost as much. In fact, the pizza on Sun Princess was better than any pizza I've ever had on any cruise ship. And I love pizza, so I was one happy guy eating fantastic New York-style pizza almost every day for lunch on Sun Princess. My wife loved the fish tacos that were served at a taco bar that's conveniently located right next door to the pizza. And they had a pretty good burger and fries on Sun Princess, too. Sure, the burger and fries on Carnival is a 10 on a 10 scale, but the burger and fries on Sun Princess was an 8, so I was happy with that. Moving on to the spring of 2025, I love to garden, and our house sits on a half-acre property, so I've got room to have all sorts of fun in my garden. During the spring, I don't like to do cruises because there's too much fun to be had in my garden at home. The lawn was looking really great this spring. My maple trees were extremely healthy. The evergreens I grow along the fence line, which are called green giants, they are growing very well. They're growing 2 or 3 feet a year. I've been so happy with the green giants that I planted a second row of them in 2025. A big project I tackled this year was adding irrigation lines to all the green giants and maple trees in my yard. I had been hand watering them for the first 4 years we lived here. That was a lot of work. The irrigation lines are out of sight behind the trees, so I just put it all above ground. That made it much simpler to install than burying the lines, and it will be simpler to repair or to expand if I ever need to. Out in the front yard, I had some nice splashes of color this spring from creeping phlox and azaleas. Now, these hydrangeas don't bloom until summertime. This is what they look like when they're blooming. But this year, I also planted some new hydrangeas, a different variety that blooms in the spring. So now I've got hydrangeas blooming spring and summer. The lawn out here in the front yard was about as healthy this year as a lawn can be. This hedge I created out of Amur maple bushes has grown in nicely, and it does a good job of hiding the view from the street of Amazon packages on my doorstep. All of these I grew for free from seeds that dropped from the big Amur maples in my backyard. Over in my side yard, I've got raised bed gardens. In the springtime, it's all about planting things and then nourishing them. And the payoff comes in the summer and fall when things get harvested. We had a fantastic strawberry harvest this year. All those spring blossoms ended up becoming strawberries, and the strawberries later ended up becoming strawberry milkshakes. It was a delicious year. I've got something like 6 different varieties of apple trees over here on the east side of my property. The bees did their job of cross-pollinating them very well. We had a lot of fruit on the trees, but they aren't ready to be picked yet. That happens in the fall. Our peach tree also had a ton of fruit on it this spring. My backyard is a little oasis here in what really is a desert landscape on the east side of Washington, so we get some interesting visitors that drop in from time to time. In this video of me playing in our backyard with our Cocker Spaniel, Carly, notice all those black pots with young trees in them. Those aren't trees I bought at some nursery to plant in my yard. Those are trees I grew myself from seeds from the trees that I had planted in my yard 4 years ago. I made a few bucks on Facebook Marketplace this year selling those young maples you see in those pots. Now, it was a lot of work, and I don't think I'll do it again this year, but it was a fun experiment just to see what the potential was in case I ever need another side hustle. One of my wife's favorite plants in our garden is lilac. They have the most amazing fragrant smell when they bloom in the spring. We had a really good lilac year in 2025, and I was able to propagate some babies, so we'll have even more lilacs in 2026. The big highlight of June 2025 was a cruise in Alaska with American Cruise Lines on a small 130-passenger cruise ship, American Constitution. A small ship like that can get you to places that the big cruise ships can't. I had a fantastic time on this 12-day Alaska trip. There were so many great things about this trip. It would be very hard for me to do it justice in a quick summary. It was one of my favorite cruises out of all 72 cruises I've been on. Let me just point you to a series of videos I did about it in case you want to find out more. Depending on what kind of device you're watching on right now, there may or may not be a link up on the screen somewhere to a full video that shows you what I love so much about my Alaska trip. If you're not seeing a link on the screen, look in the video's description. In July, we began construction on a big improvement to our house. What you're looking at here is the way things looked on the south side of our house for the first 4 years we lived here. We would spend a lot of time outside on this patio during the spring, summer, and fall, but only during times of day when the temperature was anywhere from about 70 to about 90. It was a covered patio, so there was nice shade from the sun, but it was fully open to the air. So in the mornings, it was too cold to be out there, and in the summers, it was just often too hot to be out there in the middle of the day. Well, my wife got this brilliant idea that because of those vertical wooden columns that hold up the roof of the patio, it really wouldn't be all that difficult to have a contractor install sliding glass doors between those wooden columns to fully enclose this space and turn it into a sunroom. So we spent about $50,000 of our savings to make my wife's vision a reality. And it was the most fantastic improvement to our house that you could imagine. It turned out so wonderfully. Now, there were all sorts of delays and challenges during the construction process. We had literally been told it would take 4 days to complete the project. It ended up taking 52, but it was totally worth it. We've completely stopped using our dining room now. We now eat every meal out here in the sunroom. It's the most delightful, comfortable room of our house. We love the views of the backyard from the sunroom. It's south-facing, so it's basically solar heated for free in the winters. All the sliding doors have screens, so we can open a door for free ventilation if it gets too hot. And it does have a full heating and air conditioning system that we can switch on when we need it. The sunroom is now the best part of our house, and building it was the second best idea my wife ever had after marrying me. Before this was a sunroom, and it was just an open patio, this was a game we liked to play with Carly, our Cocker Spaniel. Now that this area is a sunroom, we bought something new to take things to the next level. For the last 10 or so years, I've been having increasing problems with my back. And in 2025, it finally got so bad that I decided to have surgery to correct the problems once and for all. Pain from these spinal issues has been one of the reasons that over the last year or so, I've made a lot less model train videos than I used to. It's been painful to get down on the ground to set up tracks for my model train layouts. So in August, on my birthday actually, August 20th, my gift to myself was spinal surgery in hopes of correcting the spinal issues. I say issues because it wasn't just one thing. There were multiple spinal issues going on, and the surgery had 3 or 4 different components to it to address those multiple issues. Well, it was mostly successful, but there was one part that wasn't. After the surgery, I ended up still having a pinched nerve, which causes all sorts of pain down my right leg. And ever since the surgery, my right foot has been numb and painful. So I'm going to have a second surgery to fix that pinched nerve. I don't yet know when that's going to be. February or March, maybe. This just keeps dragging on. It's been going on a long time. But hopefully this will get resolved soon. For now, I'm better than I was before the first surgery, but I'm still not where I want to be yet. That brings me to the fall of 2025. I love maple trees, and I've got a yard full of them. I planted them the first couple of years after we moved here. So when I think of fall at this house, I think about fall colors in my yard. Fall is just the most gorgeous time of the year here at the Zim House. Plus, with our new sunroom, we can just relax inside the comfort of the sunroom and still have beautiful views of all those fall colors changing outside. It's a magical time of the year here. The highlight of November was a very fun assignment for me, shooting photos and videos for American Cruise Lines of their brand new ship, American Pioneer. I got to be on the second sailing of their brand new ship, cruising at their expense, not mine, because I'm a licensed commercial drone pilot and professional photographer. They use my photos and videos, especially the aerial shots from my drone, in their marketing. For example, several photos I've shot for them over the last few years have made it onto the cover of one of their brochures. And on this November trip, I was able to get some pretty great shots of their new ship from my drone as the ship sailed under the Sunshine Skyway Bridge in St. Petersburg, Florida. I wouldn't be surprised to see one of the still photos I shot that day on the cover of an ACL brochure sometime in 2026. But if not the cover, I hope to at least see one of the photos inside one of their brochures this next year. The fifth of 5 cruises I did in 2025 was just a few weeks ago in December on a really great Royal Caribbean ship called Quantum of the Seas. These Quantum-class ships in the Royal Caribbean fleet are not the newest, so the prices are much more reasonable than sailing on the new ships in their fleet. In fact, of all the cruises I've paid for in the last couple of years, this was probably the least expensive, and it was a great cruise. This class of ships has a lot going for it. Some really great features, like an indoor solarium that is fully protected from the weather outside, so it's always comfortable inside this big glass dome. There's a wonderful series of cascading pools inside the solarium. There are hot tubs and all sorts of very comfortable patio furniture to relax on. Best of all, you don't have to pay anything extra to be in this area. All passengers have access. Kellen and I did this cruise with our friends Jeff and Michelle, and they're into karaoke. So just about every night of the cruise, we went to a karaoke show. Kellen and I have absolutely no talent at singing, so we just watched, but Jeff is an incredible karaoke singer. He got a tremendous reaction from the audience every time he performed. Now, unfortunately, the songs are copyrighted, so I can't use the audio here in my YouTube video. I had 3 new cameras with me on that last cruise. Thanks to my patrons for their generosity in funding some of that new camera gear. The big new camera purchase was a new drone. After using the DJI Mini 3 Pro for the last 3 years, I decided it was time for an upgrade, so I'm now flying the new DJI Mini 5 Pro. I was very satisfied with the Mini 3, but the Mini 5 is even better. My hope is that when you see an aerial shot in a Jim Zim video, you're not only impressed with the technical quality of the shot, but also with the professional camera work on my part. I also upgraded my Google Pixel phone just before this last cruise. I'd been using the Pixel 8 Pro for the last couple of years, and now I'm using the new model, the Pixel 10 Pro XL. It has a fantastic camera built into it. So good, in fact, that on this last cruise, I didn't even bring my big Canon DSLR with me. This was the first cruise I felt so confident of the quality of my phone's camera that I was comfortable leaving the big Canon camera back at home. The third new camera in my arsenal is this little guy. If you know your tech gear, you're probably thinking this is a DJI Osmo Pocket. It is not, actually. Well, it kind of is, but under a different name and brand. It's marketed under the brand name Extra, XTRA, and the model is called the Extra Muse. This top piece is the video camera. The bottom part is a gimbal to stabilize the camera so that no matter how shaky my hands are or how shaky the cruise ship I'm sailing on is, the camera stays nice and stable so that it gets smooth, steady shots. Between those three new devices, I've got all the tools I need now to make some pretty great videos in 2026. Well, let's talk about the status of my YouTube channel in 2025. I jokingly say that over the last few years, we've been watching the slow death of my channel. But the truth is, it's still very much alive. Over the last 12 months, my videos have had 4.9 million views, and I still make good money from the advertising revenue, but nothing like the glory days of 2016 through 2021 when my channel was at its peak. But there are a lot of YouTubers who wish their channel got 4.9 million views last year or made the kind of money in advertising revenue that I made. So I'm not complaining, and my channel's definitely not dead yet, but there is a very clear trend when you look at the numbers for the last 10 years. In 2015, my channel had 34.4 million views. In 2016, it went up to over 49 million views. 2017, up even more, over 52 million views. And it peaked in 2018 at 59 million views. Now, in 2019, that dropped to 40 million views. And that's a pretty big drop. But thanks to the pandemic, it rose to almost 43 million views in 2020. In 2021, there was about a 25% decline in views to a little over 31 million views, and then a huge drop in 2022, down to just under 13 million views. 2023 was 11 million views. In 2024, it dropped to just over 6 million. And then, as I mentioned earlier, this past year, 4.9 million. So it doesn't take a genius to see the trend, but I don't know, maybe it'll stabilize this year. We'll see. I've still got a lot of creative ideas and a lot of traveling I want to do and make videos about. So I'll just keep going this next year pretty much like I did over the last year. If I have something interesting to make a video about, I'll try to make a new video every week. But if I just don't have anything, I might go 2 or 3 weeks between videos during certain parts of the year when nothing's going on. Years ago, I was creating 60 or more new videos every year, but I've cut that way back now. In 2025, I released 27 new videos. My most watched new video of 2025, in other words, the most watched video that I actually made in 2025, was one I released in January about what was, at the time, the newest cruise ship from American Cruise Lines. The video was called What's New on American Liberty, and it surprised me by getting 172,000 views in 2025. For a cruise line that is not very well known, that's in its own little niche in the world of cruising, having 172,000 people watch the video is some pretty great free publicity for American Cruise Lines. And my second most watched new video of 2025 was another video about a new ship from American Cruise Lines, the one I was on in November for a cruise along the Gulf Coast of Florida, which featured a great excursion on a sailing schooner in Key West. That video has only been out for a few weeks now, but it got a lot more views in that short period than most of my videos usually do. So, more great free publicity for ACL. In fact, if we total up the numbers from all the videos I've made about cruises with American Cruise Lines, we're looking at over 500,000 views just in 2025. That's a lot of great public relations for them. You can see why they keep sending me on these cruises at their expense. And not only is it great publicity for them, I truly enjoy cruising with them, so it's a win-win for everyone. Finally, if you look at all the videos I've ever made since I started my YouTube channel, the one that got the most views in 2025 was a model train video that I made back in 2015 called Big Model Trains Running Inside My Small House. That video got 696,000 new views just this year, bringing it up to a lifetime total of almost 80 million views since I released it in 2015. Now, unfortunately, many years ago, somebody made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and I sold off the rights to that video in exchange for a very large deposit in my bank account, of course. So I didn't actually make any new advertising money from that video over the last year, but I was kind of prepaid for it years ago. I do still own the rights to just about all my other videos. The second most watched in 2025 was a model train video called Every One of My Model Trains Appears in This Video. It's a video I made back in 2018, and I made some good advertising revenue from it this last year. It got 425,000 new views this last year, bringing it up to a total of 18 million views since I released it 7 years ago. Now, as far as what you have to look forward to on my channel in 2026, the very first video or two are going to be about the cruise I recently did on Quantum of the Seas. I call it the karaoke cruise because I enjoyed watching my friend Jeff sing karaoke every night. I've just started editing the videos from that cruise. You'll be able to see them in January. Now, in January, I'm also going to be going on another cruise, and this is going to be a great one. Remember that one I did last February on Sun Princess? I told you that Sun Princess quickly became my favorite cruise ship of all time, which is saying a lot since I've been on 72 cruises. Well, Princess now has a sister ship with all the same great features. The new ship is Star Princess, and Kellen and I will be sailing her in the Caribbean in January, so you'll be seeing some videos about that on my channel in February, probably. Business is booming for American cruise lines these days. They're building new ships as fast as they can to try to meet the demand. They're putting out a new ship every 4 months right now, and they plan to do that for the next several years. So it's a big expansion of the fleet, and I suspect that that's going to bring a lot of opportunities for me to cruise on new ACL ships over the next couple of years. In fact, later this year, they'll be bringing the first in a brand new class of ships right here to where I live along the Columbia River in Washington, and I will be aboard making videos about it. This is an artist's rendering of what the new American Encore will look like after construction wraps up. The design incorporates all the lessons learned from their previous ships and the great new ideas they've come up with in the last few years. Plus, solo cruisers are going to really love this. The ship will have 8 cabins specifically designed for solo travelers, priced much lower than booking a regular cabin for just one person. And for the most affluent travelers, up on the 4th floor, there will be a magnificent new type of suite at the very front of the ship. It spans the entire width of the ship, so it's really big, over 1,000 square feet, quite a bit larger than the largest suites I've seen on previous ACL ships. You've probably heard me talk about the great travel agent that I work with, Caitlin Gallagher. I want to just elaborate a little on what she has to offer. If you book a cruise with American Cruise Lines through Caitlin, she can help you with additional pre- or post-cruise nights. She can help with your flights and with private transportation to and from the airport, hotels, and cruise ships. And she puts everything into a master itinerary for you. You not only get a digital version and an app with your itinerary, but you also get a printed bound copy mailed to your home, along with Ambern travel luggage tags, a tote bag, and some other swag. And most importantly, Caitlin will be your dedicated go-to person for answering all of your pre-cruise questions. So to get the ball rolling, you can either give Caitlin a call, send her an email, or just head over to her website and take a look around. www.amberntravel.com. So you can definitely expect to see some new travel videos from me in 2026, and maybe a few videos from my yard and garden, and maybe even a Carly video or two. Honestly, I don't think there's going to be a lot of new model train videos from me this year. It's still painful for me to bend down and set up tracks on the ground because of the pinched nerve that I've still got. I hope that gets resolved in the next few months, but even when it is no longer an issue, I kind of feel like I've done the model train layouts every which way they can be done, both inside and outside of my house. I just feel like there's not much new to do as far as model train videos. I've been making them for 11 years now. I don't think there's a lot of new territory to explore. I don't know. We'll see. Well, I sincerely want to thank you for watching my videos. Being a YouTuber has been an important part of my life. It's been 17 years since I released my first video on YouTube. I've really enjoyed it. It seems like people have enjoyed watching. Sure, the glory days when YouTube was sending me $5,000 in advertising revenue every month, those days are long gone, but I will still be putting out new videos in 2026. You can count on that.